We had Benoit without his glasses again. Chris ready to fight the technical panel in the parking lot. Inconsistent yet also harsh technical calls. Peacock deciding to glitch on us through everything. And the men not menning in the short program? Join me as I dive into Skate Canada International. But first, don't forget to like, share, hype, and subscribe for more figure skating related content. All right, y'all, let's dive into the pairs. Y'all, as we saw Minerva's braid coming unraveled, so did their program a bit. I figured first and second place after the short program wouldn't be a shakeup because HASE and VOLODIN are just so consistent. But also, nor did I expect Ellie and Danny to end up on this podium just because their off-season training has been chaotic for them. So in first place was Deanna and Max. I was tickled to death for them because just thinking about how last season was for them, and this is showing, okay, we're back in the right direction. So their short program, it wasn't squeaky clean, but it wasn't a disaster. They seem to be struggling with their side-by-side jumps. They're just not in sync. They do seem really well trained though. Like I can tell in real time that Max is slowing down so that they can essentially kind of catch up with one another. I think I may have noticed that in the free program. However, I'm not too worried because I feel like Deanna, like she's going to be creating and developing their own side-by-side jumps boot camp because y'all know she's not going to be tolerating this. Either way, this program is one of the best vehicles for them as they do amazing with something really powerful, something that builds, something that like shows she's ready to fight someone in the parking lot. And they're settling very well into it. With each outing of seeing that backflip just looks really well incorporated into the program. It no longer looks like she's coming to a standstill, and they go on to the next step of their program fairly quickly. So as for their free, it's starting to grow on me, though I wish it had more of a build-up. And I don't know if I'm just thinking that because I feel like Deanna skates best when she's able to look like she's ready to punch you in the face. Because I do think they're leaning well into the soft parts of the program, so this may just be my bias. I feel like maybe they looked a little out of sync with the stupid sequence, but however, nobody can be in sync with the stupid sequences. And I will join Adam Rapon's rampage against the sequences like anytime. Like I think it looks silly for pairs. Like it takes away from everything. But that is my side rant. One thing that I loved is that this is the happiest I've seen them look in the kiss and cry for a long time, especially for the free skate. And what made me really happy is even though they probably went there knowing they lost some points on that final lift because Max lost his straight arm, and they were still happy. And then she was tearing up while listening to the national anthem and singing along, and that just made me cry with her. She's a Canadian now, y'all. Like, it was sweet. Oh, and they also doubled their sow cows, which led to this amusing moment when Deanna got off the ice.
That no damn sow.
And second place was HASE and VOLODIN from Germany. So their short program, fire as usual. They came out guns blazing, well prepared, so strong. As for their free skate, it looks like Benoit needs to put his glasses back on and just get to the drawing board just a little bit. Like it needs cooked a little bit more. It feels a little bit unfinished in parts. I think though, like once this is fully cooked in true me enjoying a pretentious Benoit fashion, this will be like one of my favorite pairs free programs. Like by the end of this all. I just wish it had some of those build-ups that 4 seasons had. They had some uncharacteristic mistakes, y'all. Like y'all saw that, like suddenly Nikita just trips out of nowhere. Did not expect that. Oh my gosh. And then Minerva had the fall on the throw. She feel like she never falls. Like that made me just gasp. But you know they're gonna come back like ready to rumble. Oh my God. I did not expect this part. And third place was Ellie and Danny from the United States of America. I am so happy for them. They have been through so much in the off season. So he had 2 surgeries. I believe one was for that broken foot that he had at Worlds, and I believe another was for a hernia. And then I heard rumors that she may have had a malconcussive injury at one point and they were off the ice. So their goal was just to kind of skate here and peak in the later season. So this is huge for them. So for their short program, so she had to step out in the throw, but I was happy. Although I do awkwardly remember, like I was watching this at a party and had my phone out watching it, and I like beat on the table and went, no. So that's always fun to explain to people. They seemed a little off sync, but still so much better than what we've seen them so far. this season. And then their free skate, it had me jumping for joy. Like, our girl landed all of her throws. I actually need to rewatch this to see what I think about the program because I was spending so much time holding my breath and also cheering for all of the landed jumps. What an amazing accomplishment for them. Like, they're showing they need to be sent to the Olympics. Knock on wood, everybody. In fourth place was PEREIRA and MICHAUD. This was really sad because for their short program, I felt like they had maybe one of the short programs of their life. It just, everything came together. You saw huge improvements. They were much more in sync, skating skills. It just was remarkable. And so they were in third place after the short program. And I really thought they could potentially hang on and get the bronze medal. However, their free skate just had lots of mistakes throughout this program. Their jumps just did not look as solid as it did in their free skate. In fact, there was even a fall during the throw. They have a few more weeks now until Finlandia for them to kind of work out and see what happened here. Another team that I wanted to talk about was the Great Britain team. Anastasia and Luke, they had one of the skates of the night for me. This was one of those wonderful redemption skates that you just love to see after they had a rocky short program where the twist didn't get completed, which is odd because this never happened. So yet another single twist out there. And then she fell in the side-by-side double axels. However, the free skate, so remarkable. It was just one of those beautiful skates. And I loved her coach's outlook when they were like, doesn't matter what the score is. You guys did awesome. You guys fought back. It was just great. So it was really great to see. And now on to the women's. Now, this is an event where I feel like Chris was ready to rumble. There was a lot of inconsistent calls and a lot of harsh calls. And I feel like maybe for the free skate, the harsh calls got more consistent. But let's dive into it. In first place was Mona Shiba. Her short program, was fun as usual. I think she really has settled into this her second year doing it. Interesting enough, though, her double axel was incredibly wonky in front of the judges' faces. And the technical panel, I don't think they even reviewed it. They didn't call it. And you could tell the judges knew it, though, because they gave her negative GOE. But this was something like after experiencing like Sarah Everhart getting hosed, which is difficult to see. And I really do enjoy this skater, but I'm all for consistency in calls. Her free skate, though, that was the skate of the night for me. I think I'm just such a sucker for her soft skating skills. And then there's that part where she does a lunge right with the music. That's when she sold me. I mean, I've already watched this and already fangirled over, but man, this is just so stunning. Her skating skills to me, of course, in this program is such a step above everyone else's, with maybe Luna closer to her a bit. Thankfully, she got some nines in her composition skills because let me tell you, I would have been calling like Laura the police. And the second place was Isabella Vito. This feels like a really good comeback for her after her Grand Prix de France mistake cost her a podium. There would need to be some chaos and crash outs, though, for her to make it to the Grand Prix final. Now, not that I'm saying chaos doesn't happen, but I feel like it would have to be an extra layer of chaos. Knock on wood. Oh my God, did I just speak that into existence? Her short program, I think that was really causing Chris to crash out. I mean, that wasn't the only thing, but that was one of them. Because they gave her a warning on an edge where it wasn't noticeable, like on the flip, but then didn't call any under rotations, and I feel like he was slowly dying. I feel like this program is fun for her and is growing on me, but I'm still stuck with thinking maybe Breakfast at Tiffany's might make more of an Olympic moment. However, this is potentially like the American in me, so maybe like this song right here would be more iconic in a European country. So let me know in the comments if I'm just being like an American. So her free skate is so much in her wheelhouse. Like, it's a very typical balletic, amazing program for her. She really, though, after looking at both her short program and free program, she needs to be working on her triples. Like, that's where she's getting calls for like things being at a quarter or just things are just not going perfect for her there. I think, though, she made a really good case for herself here for the Olympics. And I was also happy because in the kiss and cry here, she looked happy. Usually, like, regardless, she looks disappointed. So here she was pleased with her existence. Oh, and she received some nines in her component score, so that made me happy. In third place was Ami Nakai from Japan. Wow, this is the result she definitely needed because she's getting closer to likely being at the Grand Prix final unless chaos happens in a different direction. So for her short program, her triple axel looked a little bit under. It didn't get called though, but then another jump of hers got called with a Q and it was fine. I think it was her triple toe. That was weird. There was just something. I feel like the technical person was like, I'm gonna be a technical person and just like assert my dominance, but then like at some points they just give up. It was just the most bizarre thing. Now for her free program, I'm such a fan of it. I hate that version of the song. Hate it. Oh my God. She's such a fighter though. Like, so her triple axel in the beginning didn't work out. She like 2-footed it. I think it ended up being a double after all. So it couldn't be in a combination. So later on, when she was doing a sequence, she turned a sequence by using a double axel, double toe instead of adding a second double axel. So she did not Zayak herself. And so I get when the jumps aren't perfect, you have to lower the component scores. But my God, someone gave her some 7s. Like a few of them gave her 7s for her components. And I don't know how they're functioning as human beings after that. In 4th place was Brady Tennell. So Chris showed so much admiration for her, and I thought that was really sweet. He had this really funny quote because at one point, I think it was during her free skate or before her free skate, it was like most people would have threw their skates in the river and moved on. I don't know why that gave me such a chuckle. So I love for her short program that they switched it to the Lana Del Rey program because I think it just suits her much better than the one she had before. And I can't remember at this point what she had before. And she apparently had a nosebleed before going out there, so that might explain why she had a wonky combo. In fact, I hear a lot of skaters had nosebleeds. And for her free, I didn't realize she skated to the Mission in the past, so I thought that was like a cute sentimental thing. But this song is kind of an interesting choice for us who haven't watched the movie. You hear and go, why is her screeching? She fought so hard throughout this program and like really fought for everything. Her spins though, regardless of what's going on for jumps and the fighting, I forgot how amazing they are. Oh, and y'all, it was so sweet. Her mom was in the front row and everything. But the main question is, why is Benoit not wearing glasses? Was that his costume? Like, I feel like he just stopped wearing his default glasses and I don't know how to function. To me, this feels like when Wednesday Addams stopped everyone in their tracks by like smiling on Addams' family values. Like, this is how I feel when he doesn't wear glasses and he smiles. Is he putting on a new persona? Like, are we getting Benoit part 3? Because I feel like there had to be a part 1 because I saw he had hair once and looked like he fell from the 90s. And then you know what? Benoit is a lot younger than I thought he was. Okay, I need to move on because I'm gonna get on a Benoit tangent. In 5th place was Lori Naki-Gutman. Y'all, I wanted her to podium so badly. I have such a soft spot for this Children of the Void skater. I just want her to be a dark horse so badly. Her short program, I really like it for her because it's a classic program, like it's classical music, but really has this unique edge to it. Like it almost could feel like it's like Halloween-y in a bit. For her free skate, I yelled so loud that my husband ran into the room to see like who fell and see what was wrong. Shark Naki is just one of my favorite programs. And something else, I really enjoy Ami's skating, but I really feel like Laura, when she skated right after her, this really showcased her maturity in her skating. I do think this helped win her case for that Olympic spot for the Italian women. She came in 5th here, and last week, I think Anna came in 8th overall at Cup of China. Yep, 8th overall. I'm just hoping we get to see her at the Olympics and see her win a medal at the team event because I feel like she's just one of those dark horses that needs 12 million medals. And I also want to talk about Yuna Aoki in 6th place. So she didn't have the best outing in terms of jumps, but my God, were these programs beautiful. But you wouldn't know it because those weirdos who like don't know how to function give her 7s in skating skills. Like even in the short program where there were no falls. Someone needs to call Laura Naki-Gutman, who was the police there, and have her investigate this because that is a crime. I feel like sometimes I'm getting trolled. I feel like we're all getting trolled. I'm so glad that she came out of retirement, though I feel that this season where it's just so stacked that she may just kind of go back into retirement, but at least we got to see her and her magical skating. In 7th place was Sarah Everhart. Let me tell you, did she cut off the technical panel in traffic? Did she like take the last piece of toilet paper? Like, what happened? Those were some of the unfair calls that made me fired up. Because I'm like one of those is the principle behind the whole thing type of people when something's unfair. Like if you're going to hose one person like this, you need to look at everyone's jumps. So for her short program, whew. So I'm not saying her program is perfect, but in this case, they're like, we're going to look at every single item. And it's bizarre because she's added in new technical content and she should be placing higher, but she isn't. And her step sequence got called a level 2. So someone on Reddit posted a side-by-side comparison of Lombardia to now. And what people pointed out was it seems like at Lombardia, she seemed more secure. And here she seemed like her upper body was much more loose. And I can definitely see what they're talking about. But for it to be dropped to a level 2, that just feels like something is afoot. And I think just seeing her heartbroken in a kiss and cry, like, really murdered my soul. Like, that was really sad. As for her free skate, so she has a new costume now, but I still don't know how I feel about it. Like, it feels like an upgrade, but not like in those 90s movies when someone puts on a different dress and everyone's like, ooh, now this is a whole new person. Like, this costume compared to her last one was an upgrade, but not compared to all of her other costumes in life, if that makes sense. I feel like I'm rambling. But I also probably need to watch this bizarre movie that it's based off of to get the whole premise. Someone explained it luckily to me on here on Reddit, but still, I just don't feel like this program is the best for her. It seems like maybe it was created to help with some of her weaknesses. However, I do feel like it really showcases them, like with the stiff movements and the less kind of projecting to the audience. Like that actually showcases more in this program. She had that surprise fall in the double axel, which surprised her, but she was shook. And I think we were all shook. So it did take her out of the program a bit, so I can see why her PCS dropped a bit. Her jumps again here were not perfect. I think either yesterday's calls rattled her a bit or that double axel rattled her a bit. Like you can see that everything was just really tight. Man, no, was she target number 1? Like, I feel like, I don't know, does she need to give someone a gift basket? I feel like this is going to make it harder for her to make a case for the Olympics, unfortunately. I believe her next Grand Prix is an NHK trophy, and that is going to be such a stacked field. It's going to be so hard for her to medal there. So I feel like unless she medals there and Isabeau bombs at nationals, it's just going to be really hard for her. And also, unfortunately, Brady to know. I also want to touch on Maddie Schizas a bit. I feel that both her short program and free skate just don't suit her well. Like she does not seem to do well with going the balletic route. She seems to do really amazing with like much more powerful programs where she can project to the crowd, like with the Lion King. I did read that she wanted to do the Lion King in this season, but could not because of music rights, which that seems to be everybody's story, which maybe by the next Olympics, we'll have nothing but AI created music. Who freaking knows? And that's going to be a train wreck. So she had 2 falls in the short program, and that caused her to miss her combination. And so she was in 12th after the short program. She came in 7th in the free skate. She was able to fight a bit more, though her jumps were not perfect and she missed a combination completely. I don't know if her team, like, do they set up situations where you have to think on your feet and add in jumps and combinations? Overall, though, she ended up 9th overall. And then Sarah Maud Dupree, so she put on a solid skate for her short program and she was in 8th afterwards. I felt really hopeful. I'm like, yeah, she's got that triple axel. She's going to like torpedo above everyone. So then she 2-footed it in the free skate and then kind of the rest of her jumps crumbled. So she got in 12th place in the free skate, making her 11th overall. So this outing, I feel like, unlike for the American women, this one did not really solidify or lock in who could get that one spot for Canadian women. And this really feels like maybe Gabby Dowling can sneak her way in. Like maybe she can just magician herself at nationals and become the one they send. Although part of me suspects they'll end up sending Maddie, but we shall see. Also, before I move on, there are these pictures going around of the men watching the women skating, and I thought that was just really sweet. It shows that they are supportive and also fans of the field. All right, y'all. The men's short program had no menning, so they had to walk so that the free skate could like men to the highest. I mean, the free skate was just a menning fest. Let's just be honest. It is no surprise here that Ilya won. He came in first place with 76 points ahead of the second place winner here. Wow. He didn't quite seem like himself this week, and there was nothing wrong. It just in the short program, he just kind of looked maybe a little nervous, maybe a little inside himself. And in his free skate, he looked completely gassed halfway through. In fact, most of the men did, to be honest, but like he still was able to get his jumps around. For his short program, he put on an epic performance. I know a lot of people talk about his skating skills, but I really feel like he does connect well with this program, and he really does project to the crowd during it. For his free skates, he put down 6 quads total, and that's without a quad axle, y'all. In fact, he ended up making a world record with his total score being 208.97 in the free skate. So major accomplishment for him. So he's definitely going to the Grand Prix Final. And second place was Sasha Sefko from Estonia. I'm so excited for him to medal here. And I just love this when a smaller federation like rises above. I'm still so curious to see how his Christmas dinner will go in terms of Olympic selection. Only one spot, and he has a brother that skates also. His short program is so good. At first, I'm like, oh, not another 90s skate after sitting through the rhythm dance. But I thoroughly enjoyed this program. He puts on a show. We need to call the cops and have Nikolai answer the phone because I don't know why he didn't get 9s. Like he should have, and I'm disappointed in life. For his free skate, he opened up with the most satisfying quad lutz. Like the rest of his jumps, I was holding my breath throughout. He did make us all come to life by beating on the boards. And finally, y'all, we have a camera person ready. It's as if the director knew, and he was like, you need to be positioned so they can get the best view of the board hitting. It was spectacular, and that's when he really came to life, and I loved that part of the program. And in third was Cal Murray from Japan. I feel like him going back to his programs from last year really worked out. I know a lot of people were kind of pessimistic about this, but it really seems like a good plan for him. So he put on a really good short program, like stepped down on his quad toe, but still it seemed like he was much more comfortable with this program. Now for his free skate, it wasn't perfect at all. But he really demonstrated improvement compared to his last outings. In fact, he opened up with that beautiful quad loop where I'm like, oh, that is spectacular. And then he spoke to Jesus or whoever his entity is to get that quad salchow landed, because let me tell you, that was leaning. He fought very hard throughout this program, though. And in fourth place was Kazuki. He had the most fun short program ever. I love getting to see people in Reddit, so like initial reaction to this program. So I don't think a lot of people watch the Challenger series. So he was in second after the short program, although he wasn't perfect because he did like put his foot down for like the quad salchow and the triple axel, but still. His free skate is unfortunately what tends to do him in. It wasn't bad here, but the jumps weren't perfect. And so it wasn't like a complete man to fourth power or whatever. In fifth place was Nika. Let me tell you, can this man rest now? Can he be like the opposite? You know how Mariah Carey dethaws at like Christmas time? Can he go back to being thawed and dethawed soon? Like he has to be exhausted. Like he's been doing 9 million competitions. For his short program, like he had to hang on to those jumps. He also was like speaking to whatever entity. But again, this is a man who has not rested. For his free skate, he had a really rough fall early on in his free skate, but then he came back. I always forget he's going to shake his booty or have like a hip swizzle. Like that always just, is random to me. He somehow ended up with his season's best also. Okay, let's just let this man sleep. And Benoit and Terry seem to be besties now. Is this why he's no longer wearing glasses? I mean, I just need someone to explain why is he no longer wearing his glasses? Okay. In sixth place was Nikolai from Italy. I desperately want him to win the battle against Grossel for one of the Italian spots. I'm getting a little bit more worried about this as time goes on. So his short program was delightful as usual. Chris was dying because he felt like some of his jumps had been called and kept saying he got away with it. I kind of felt bad. Like I do appreciate that Chris calls it out, but it's almost saying like he got away with it. It's like he did it on purpose. And I get that's not what he meant, but it's just interesting optics. His free skate man was that Manning like that. Woo. I mean, he just opened up of a fall. It sounds like we just need to remove the quad flip. It is obviously not ready. It just needs to be like resurrected later on in life. Like next season, maybe. Like right now, it's just not a good time. I mean, at one point also, he had his quad lutz in a Euler and like nothing came after. He was just like, not doing it. But he did come back fighting a bit. So it wasn't a terrible outing for him. It's just like, man, making it more difficult for him to put his name in the hat for the Olympics. And in seventh place was Roman. He was the one fall for the night in the short program, but he still was out there and put on a performance, didn't let it get to him. And his free skate actually made me tear up, though I was actually forewarned because I didn't pay attention to the time zone change, like how we all have these time changes and we have to like adjust for that time zone chart. So I showed up watching this like an hour later and was like, what is going on? Why am I missing so much? But still, regardless, it still made me tear up because that was just so awesome. Like, yeah, he made a couple mistakes, but he bounced back and came in blazing for the rest of the program. And 8th was Steven. Man, his short program really felt like it was on fire. Like, yeah, he had to hang on a bit for his quad toe, but he landed everything and it felt very positive. Free skate jumps were not his friend. Like, I literally have in my notes, oh hell, he repeated his quad salchow without another jump. That's a rep. But he still fought his way through. As in terms of the Roman versus Steven battle, I feel like Roman honestly only has a slight edge on this one. We're just going to see how the rest of the season goes. Tomoki, he came in 9th. He put on an amazing short program. And I think really the reason he was down a little bit further was because everyone actually did okay in the short program. And his free skate wasn't terrible, but man, it was filled with mistakes. It just wasn't strong. I don't know if this outing helped him kind of get that 3rd spot, but we shall see how everybody else does. And 10th, Kevin, I adore his short program. Like, when he switched to Lady Gaga, I feel like I knew Lady Gaga was going to be there, but I forgot it. And it was such a delightful surprise. Like, can I always be surprised of Kevin doing Lady Gaga on live? Like, that was fantastic. It was like fire. It was epic. He did make the decision to only do triples, and I think it really worked for him. For his free skate, well, I don't know what to say about it. Like, I was holding my breath. I'm like, we cannot have another cursed bolero. And I thought maybe he thinks he's in Texas, because I think I've heard that this part of Canada is like Texas, so maybe he'll think he's in Texas. So he opened up with the quad toe and I let out a sigh of relief, but why did I not hold my breath anymore? Because the rest of it kind of fell apart a lot. He looked completely spent though, stamina-wise. Like, it looked like it hit him pretty quickly. I did have in my notes, he managed to squeak out that triple axel sequence despite the mini train wreck. So I am proud of him for continuing to fight, and he didn't beat himself up. And even smiled at the end, which was unlike him. So we'll see how he turns it around for the rest of the season. And lastly, on to the ice dance. So this unfortunately felt like there was some suspect scoring throughout. And let's just kind of dive into each team. So Piper and Paul came in first here. I feel like their rhythm dance just needs to cook a little bit. It seems like they need to settle into it a bit. What's funny though is one of the things that they do really well is having theater energy, and I actually felt like it fell a bit flat, mainly on his end. I feel like she was on point with the theatrics. I do think though they tend to have some pretty kind of concrete parts of their choreography. For example, her making cat ears. We're talking about cat ears. What's also interesting is right off the bat, I noticed that his corset really helped show off his perfect posture. However, it kind of looked out of place here for this program. It looked like he needed to loosen up more. So her twizzles were originally called a 2 and it went to 4 because it was obvious though in real time that maybe they should have stayed around a 2. I'm not quite sure why they ended up switching them, maybe to help them have a higher score of beating everyone. I'm not sure. Now for their free dance, I feel like I need to see this more. I feel like I need to see it cooked a bit. Like when they first went into it, I love the opening. They were skating with such ease and comfort. And I was thinking, man, they just look so professional. But oh my gosh, then we got to that curve lift where there was the error. Like I thought he was going to drop her at first and I ended up shouting and my dogs barked. It was a whole thing. And then her twizzles didn't get called and basically her final lift just felt awkward. I'm hoping this program will just settle in a bit because it's such an iconic program. I just think many of us, including myself, were expecting more from a Vincent program. I don't know if I would have had them win here. And I feel like if they would have been anywhere else, to be honest, they wouldn't have came out first here. And it's nothing against this team. It's just, had this been literally anywhere else, I feel like they would have knocked down to second place. Which in second place was Reed and Ambervalicious from Lithuania came in second here. I felt like they had just the skates of the weekend for me. Their rhythm dance, complete fire. Like this encompasses all I'm Too Sexy. They look so comfortable throughout it as well. I think this program is easily becoming one of my favorite rhythm dances, and it was definitely one of my favorite here. Now, for their free dance, they took us to the club. It was nice. She ended up having a level dropped on her twizzle because apparently her outfit came undone. I don't know how I missed that, but it was hanging on for dear life. Not really, that's dramatic, but it came undone at the neck. They, though, are really making a case for Europeans, and honestly, I feel like they should have won here. And in third was Laval Lagal, representing Canada. For their rhythm dance, I really need their teams to think about like how to not make them skate like juniors or have programs that look like juniors. I mean, they're like miming basketball. It's just not it. And so they messed up the chorus sequence, and I didn't catch it at first, but man, his expression at the end let us all know something went wrong. Now, for their free dance, I may be alone here, but I absolutely love this program. I really love their early twizzle entry. I was shocked though because I swear to you, it sounded like he hit the boards at one point and it never got acknowledged to my knowledge. Basically, was this something that only us like watching at home noticed? This was wild. I was surprised by the fourth place here. I thought Christine and Anthony would end up maybe in bronze. Not that I feel like they really skated a lot better, but I feel like kind of both teams had their weaknesses and both teams seem to have chemistry weaknesses. Like if you told me that Lala hated each other, I'd be like, I can see that. So for Christine and Anthony for their rhythm dance, they didn't have the quality that they usually have, and I honestly zoned off during this program. Everything just seemed a lot slower, and in fact, they ended up with like a pattern step too. For their free dance, I really loved how the curve lift went with the music. But basically, it was just okay for me. I feel like they really need to go back to the drawing board for these programs. And real quick, I want to talk about Brady and Somerville. So I did feel like in the rhythm dance, they got hosed in his reaction of like, oh, wow. I feel like that was kind of funny. Their free dance, it was okay. It was kind of mad at me, but I can tell they were disappointed about their score. And you could tell she was on lock. She was going to be like, you are not going to have us make the figure skating news again in life. All right, y'all. I hope you guys had a happy Halloween, and I'll see y'all for NHK Trophy, where our sleep schedules will go back to being murdered. See you next time. Don't forget to like, share, hype, and subscribe for more figure skating related content.